5 signs your gut is dying. Let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever felt tired for no clear reason? Have you noticed strange bloating after eating foods that never bothered you before? Maybe your skin started changing, your mood became unpredictable, or your body simply feels different than it used to. Most people ignore these signals. They blame stress, they blame age, they blame lack of sleep. But in many cases, the real problem begins somewhere people rarely think about: your gut. As a doctor, I have seen hundreds of patients walk into my office with symptoms they believed had nothing to do with digestion. Some complained about constant fatigue. Others were dealing with anxiety, skin problems, brain fog, or unexplained weight gain. And almost every time, when we looked deeper, the same system was struggling: the gut. Your gut is not just a tube that processes food. It is one of the most complex systems in the human body. Inside your digestive tract live trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and other microbes that form what scientists call the gut microbiome. This microscopic ecosystem plays a role in almost everything your body does. It helps break down nutrients. It regulates your immune system. It communicates with your brain. It produces vitamins. It even influences your mood and behavior. In fact, modern research now calls the gut the second brain. Why? Because the gut contains more than 100 million nerve cells that constantly communicate with the brain through the vagus nerve and chemical signals. This means that when your gut is healthy, your entire body tends to function better. But when the gut starts to deteriorate, when beneficial bacteria die and harmful microbes begin to dominate, the consequences can spread far beyond digestion. The problem is that gut damage rarely happens overnight. It develops slowly, month after month, year after year. Poor diet, ultra-processed foods, too much sugar, chronic stress, antibiotics, alcohol, lack of fiber. All of these factors slowly change the environment inside your digestive system. The balance of bacteria shifts, inflammation increases, the protective lining of the gut becomes weaker, and eventually the body begins sending warning signals. But here's the dangerous part. Most people don't recognize those signals. They treat the symptoms instead of understanding the root cause. They take medication for headaches, creams for skin issues, energy drinks for fatigue. Yet the real problem continues growing silently inside the digestive system. Over the past decade, scientists have discovered that gut health is connected to dozens of chronic conditions, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, depression, autoimmune disorders, hormonal imbalance, chronic fatigue, skin diseases like acne and eczema. This is why more and more doctors now begin their investigations not with the brain or the skin, but with the gut. The gut is often the starting point. Think of it like the foundation of a house. If the foundation becomes unstable, cracks begin appearing everywhere else. The same thing happens in the body. When the gut ecosystem begins collapsing, the body struggles to maintain balance. Your metabolism slows. Your immune system becomes confused. Inflammation spreads. Hormones fluctuate. And the brain starts receiving distress signals. Yet many people live for years without realizing what is happening inside them. They simply adapt to feeling unwell. They accept bloating as normal. They accept fatigue as part of life. They accept digestive discomfort after meals. But your body is never silent without a reason. When something is wrong, it always tries to communicate. The challenge is learning how to understand those signals. In today's discussion, I want to show you 5 warning signs that your gut microbiome may be in serious trouble. These signs often appear long before major diseases develop. If you recognize them early, you can restore balance and protect your health. But if you ignore them, the damage can slowly progress. In the next part, we will begin with the first warning sign, one of the most common signals that the gut microbiome is collapsing. And surprisingly, many people experience it every single day without realizing what it means. Constant bloating after eating. One of the earliest warning signs that your gut microbiome is struggling is something many people experience almost every day: bloating. Not the occasional discomfort after a large meal, but the kind of bloating that appears regularly, sometimes after almost every meal. Patients often describe it in similar ways. My stomach feels swollen. I look pregnant after eating. My stomach becomes hard and uncomfortable. Many people believe bloating is normal. They assume it's simply part of digestion. But persistent bloating is rarely normal. In a healthy digestive system, food moves smoothly through the stomach and intestines, and bloating. In some cases, this condition is related to what doctors call SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Normally, the small intestine contains relatively few bacteria. Most of the gut microbes live in the large intestine, but when the digestive system becomes disrupted, bacteria can migrate into the small intestine and begin fermenting food too early during digestion. The result is gas, pressure, and bloating. Certain foods may make this worse: bread, pasta, sugary snacks, ultra-processed foods. These foods provide an easy fuel source for harmful bacteria. However, the deeper issue is not the food itself. The real problem is the imbalance of the microbial ecosystem. Another factor that contributes to bloating is damage to the intestinal lining. The inside of the gut is covered with a delicate barrier made of specialized cells. This barrier helps regulate what enters the bloodstream. When inflammation weakens this protective layer, the gut becomes more sensitive. Food particles and bacterial toxins can irritate the lining, causing swelling and digestive discomfort. This condition is sometimes referred to as increased intestinal permeability, commonly known as leaky gut. While the term is often debated in popular media, scientists agree that disruptions to the gut barrier can trigger immune responses and inflammation itself slows digestion. Food stays longer in the digestive tract. Fermentation increases. Gas accumulates. Bloating becomes more frequent. Another important factor is stomach acid. Many people today unknowingly have low stomach acid levels due to chronic stress, aging, or frequent use of acid-suppressing medications. Stomach acid plays a crucial role in digestion. It helps break down proteins. It activates digestive enzymes. And it acts as a barrier against harmful microbes entering the intestines. When stomach acid becomes too weak, food enters the intestines only partially digested. This creates an ideal environment for bacteria to ferment those nutrients and produce gas. Patients are often surprised when they learn that their bloating has less to do with the quantity of food they eat, and more to do with the microbial balance inside their gut. Some individuals even develop bloating after eating foods typically considered healthy. For example, beans, vegetables, whole grains. These foods contain fibers known as prebiotics, which normally feed beneficial bacteria. But when harmful microbes dominate the gut, they may ferment these fibers excessively, worsening symptoms. This is why gut health cannot be solved by simply adding more healthy foods without addressing the underlying imbalance. If your gut microbiome is healthy, fiber nourishes beneficial bacteria. If your microbiome is damaged, the same fiber may create discomfort. The key is restoring balance. Another subtle clue related to bloating is timing. Pay attention to when the discomfort appears. If your stomach becomes distended within 30 to 60 minutes after eating, it may suggest bacterial fermentation occurring too early in the digestive process. This can indicate microbiome disruption in the upper digestive tract. In contrast, bloating that occurs several hours after meals may suggest issues in the large intestine. Either way, persistent bloating should never be ignored. Your gut is trying to send you a message. But bloating is only the beginning. The second warning sign is something many people overlook completely, yet it can reveal a lot about the state of your gut microbiome. In the next part, we will discuss a symptom that appears on your skin, and surprisingly, it may have far more to do with your digestive system than you might expect. Your skin is trying to warn you. The second warning sign that your gut microbiome may be in serious trouble often appears somewhere people least expect it, on your skin. Many patients are surprised when I tell them that skin problems often begin in the digestive system. Most people assume that acne, rashes, redness, or eczema are purely skin conditions. They search for creams, they change cosmetics, they buy expensive skincare products. But the skin is not just an outer layer. It is one of the body's largest organs and is deeply connected to internal systems, especially the gut. Doctors and scientists now refer to this relationship as the gut-skin axis. This means that the condition of your digestive system can directly influence the health of your skin. Inside the gut, trillions of microorganisms constantly interact with the immune system. In fact, nearly 70% of the body's digestive tract. When the gut microbiome is balanced, beneficial bacteria help regulate immune responses and prevent excessive inflammation. But when harmful bacteria begin to dominate, the immune system can become overstimulated. Inflammation starts increasing throughout the body. And the skin is often one of the first places where this internal inflammation becomes visible. Patients frequently come to my clinic complaining about skin changes that seem to appear without explanation. Acne that suddenly develops in adulthood. Persistent redness around the cheeks or nose was fine for years, and then suddenly it changed. When we begin to examine their digestive health, we often find clear signs of gut imbalance. One common mechanism behind this connection is something called intestinal permeability, sometimes referred to as a leaky gut. The lining of the intestines acts as a barrier that controls what substances enter the bloodstream. In a healthy gut, this barrier allows nutrients to pass through while blocking toxins, harmful bacteria, and undigested food particles. But chronic inflammation can weaken this protective lining. When this happens, tiny particles that normally remain inside the gut can pass into the bloodstream. The immune system immediately recognizes these particles as threats. It begins producing inflammatory chemicals to fight them. This immune reaction may show up on the skin as redness, acne, irritation, or inflammatory skin disorders. Another factor linking the gut and the skin is bacterial toxins. Certain harmful bacteria release substances called lipopolysaccharides, often abbreviated as LPS. These molecules can trigger powerful inflammatory responses inside the body. When LPS enters the bloodstream, it can stimulate the immune system and increase systemic inflammation. Research has shown that elevated levels of these toxins are associated with conditions such as acne, rosacea, and eczema. But the story does not end there. The gut microbiome also influences hormones. Hormonal balance plays a major role in skin health. When gut bacteria become imbalanced, they may interfere with the way the body processes hormones such as estrogen, cortisol, and insulin. Hormonal fluctuations can increase oil production in the skin and contribute to clogged pores and inflammation. This is one reason why some individuals experience stubborn acne even after trying numerous skincare treatments. The problem is not on the surface. It begins internally. Diet also plays an important role. Highly processed foods, refined sugars, and artificial additives can feed harmful gut bacteria and worsen inflammation. At the same time, these foods often lack the nutrients needed to support healthy skin and microbial balance. The gut microbiome thrives on diversity. Fiber from vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole foods help beneficial bacteria produce substances known as short-chain fatty acids. These molecules support the integrity of the gut lining and help regulate inflammation. When the diet lacks fiber and contains excessive sugar and processed ingredients, beneficial bacteria begin to disappear. This allows harmful microbes to multiply. Inflammation rises, and the skin often becomes a visible reflection of what is happening inside the digestive system. But skin changes are only one of the signals the body sends when the gut is in trouble. The next warning sign is something that many people struggle to describe. Patients often say things like, "My brain feels slow. I can't concentrate. I feel mentally tired all the time." In the next part, we will talk about brain fog, a surprising symptom that may originate deep inside the gut. And once you understand the connection between the gut and the brain, many everyday health problems suddenly start to make much more sense. Brain fog and mental exhaustion. The third warning sign that your gut microbiome may be deteriorating is something many people struggle to explain clearly. They often say things like this: "My brain feels slow. I cannot focus like I used to. I forget simple things. My head feels heavy." This condition is commonly described as brain fog. Brain fog is not a medical diagnosis, but doctors hear this complaint very often. Patients feel mentally tired, unfocused, and sometimes emotionally unstable. What many people do not realize is that this problem may begin in the gut. Your digestive system and your brain are connected through a complex communication network known as the gut-brain axis. This connection allows the gut and the brain to constantly exchange information. Signals travel through nerves. Chemical messengers circulate through the bloodstream. Hormones and immune molecules transmit messages between organs. One of the most important communication pathways is the vagus nerve. This nerve acts like a direct highway connecting the digestive system and the brain. When the gut environment is balanced and healthy, these signals help regulate mood, memory, and cognitive clarity. But when the gut microbiome becomes imbalanced, the signals sent to the brain begin to change. Inflammation inside the digestive system can trigger inflammatory responses throughout the body, including the brain. Even low levels of chronic inflammation can affect the way brain cells function. This can reduce concentration, slow mental processing, and create the sensation of mental fatigue. Another important factor is neurotransmitter production. Neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that allow brain cells to communicate with each other. Many people are surprised to learn that a large portion of these neurotransmitters are actually influenced by gut bacteria. For example, the neurotransmitter serotonin plays an important role in mood regulation and emotional balance. Roughly 90% of serotonin production is connected to processes occurring in the digestive system. When the gut microbiome is disrupted, serotonin balance may also become disturbed. This can lead to mood changes, irritability, anxiety, or difficulty maintaining emotional stability. Dopamine is another neurotransmitter affected by gut health. Dopamine influences motivation, attention, and mental alertness. When microbial balance is compromised, dopamine signaling may become less efficient. This can leave people feeling mentally drained or unmotivated. The gut microbiome also produces substances known as short-chain fatty acids. These molecules help regulate inflammation and support the health of brain cells. When beneficial bacteria decline, production of these protective compounds decreases. This allows inflammation to rise and may affect the brain's ability to maintain clear cognitive function. Toxins released by harmful bacteria can also influence brain activity. Certain bacterial byproducts may enter the bloodstream and reach the brain, where they can interfere with normal neural communication. Patients sometimes describe the feeling as if their thoughts are moving through thick fog. They struggle to find words. They reread the same sentence several times. They feel mentally exhausted after simple tasks. Many people believe this is simply a result of stress or lack of sleep. Stress and sleep certainly play a role, but gut health often amplifies these problems. If the digestive system is inflamed and the microbiome is unbalanced, the brain receives constant signals of stress. Over time, this may affect concentration, emotional resilience, and cognitive performance. Another clue that brain fog may be connected to the gut is timing. Some people notice that their mental clarity becomes worse after certain meals. Heavy processed foods, refined sugars, and ultra-processed snacks can trigger inflammatory responses in the digestive system. This may temporarily worsen brain fog and fatigue. On the other hand, meals rich in fiber, healthy fats, and whole foods often support a more stable gut environment and may help improve mental clarity. The connection between the gut and the brain is one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern medicine. Scientists now understand that the gut microbiome plays a significant role in mental well-being. But brain fog is not the only signal that the gut is struggling. The fourth warning sign often appears in the form of powerful food cravings. Many people believe cravings are simply about willpower. In reality, the microorganisms living inside the gut may be influencing what you want to eat. In the next part, we will talk about sugar cravings and how certain gut bacteria may actually drive the desire for unhealthy foods. And once you understand this connection, your relationship with food may begin to make much more sense. Constant sugar cravings. The fourth warning sign that your gut microbiome may be in serious trouble often appears as something people rarely associate with gut health: strong and persistent cravings for sugar. Many people believe sugar cravings are simply a matter of willpower. They think the desire for sweets comes from habit or emotional eating. But modern research suggests something much deeper may be happening. The microorganisms living inside your gut may actually influence what foods you crave. Inside the digestive system live trillions of bacteria. Some of these bacteria thrive on fiber and plant nutrients. These beneficial microbes help produce vitamins, regulate inflammation, and support metabolic balance. But other bacteria prefer a very different type of fuel. They feed on sugar. When the gut microbiome becomes imbalanced, bacteria that rely heavily on sugar may begin to dominate the microbial ecosystem. These microbes consume glucose and simple carbohydrates very efficiently. As they multiply, they create a biological environment that encourages the body to seek more of the foods they depend on. This creates a powerful feedback loop. The more sugar you eat, the more these bacteria grow. The more they grow, the stronger the cravings become. Patients often describe this experience in very similar ways. They say they feel an intense desire for sweets even after eating a full meal. Some people say they feel restless or irritable until they eat something sugary. Others notice that once they begin eating sweets, it becomes difficult to stop. This phenomenon is not simply psychological. Gut bacteria produce chemical signals that can influence appetite and food preferences. These signals interact with the nervous system and may affect hunger hormones such as ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is often referred to as the hunger hormone. It signals the brain that the body needs food. Leptin plays the opposite role. It tells the brain that the body has enough energy and should stop eating. When the gut microbiome becomes unbalanced, these hormonal signals may become disrupted. The brain may continue to receive signals encouraging food intake even when the body already has enough calories. Sugar also has a strong effect on the brain's reward system. When sugar is consumed, the brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. This creates a temporary feeling of reward and satisfaction. However, frequent sugar consumption can lead to repeated dopamine spikes. Over time, the brain may begin to require more sugar to achieve the same level of satisfaction. This pattern can create a cycle similar to other addictive behaviors. But the problem becomes even more complicated when the gut microbiome is involved. Certain bacteria may encourage the body to seek the very foods that help them survive. Scientists have observed that gut microbes can influence taste receptors and metabolic pathways that affect food preferences. This means the cravings people experience may not come entirely from conscious decisions. Sometimes they originate from the microscopic ecosystem inside the digestive system. Another important factor related to sugar cravings is blood sugar stability. Highly processed foods often cause rapid spikes in blood glucose levels. These spikes are usually followed by sudden drops in blood sugar. When blood sugar drops quickly, the brain interprets this as a signal that the body needs more energy. This can trigger sudden cravings for sweets or fast carbohydrates. If this cycle repeats multiple times each day, the body begins to depend on quick sugar sources to maintain energy levels. Over time, this pattern places additional stress on the digestive system and further disrupts the balance of gut bacteria. Fiber-rich foods can help stabilize this cycle. Fiber slows digestion and allows glucose to enter the bloodstream more gradually. This helps maintain steady energy levels and reduces sudden cravings. Beneficial gut bacteria also rely on fiber to produce substances that support metabolic balance. Unfortunately, Many modern diets are extremely low in fiber and very high in processed sugar. This combination can gradually shift the microbial balance in the gut toward bacteria that thrive on sugar. When this happens, cravings may become stronger and more frequent. Patients often feel trapped in a cycle where they constantly crave foods that make them feel worse. They feel tired after eating sugar, they feel hungry again shortly afterward, and the cravings continue. But sugar cravings are not the final signal the body sends when gut health is deteriorating. The fifth warning sign may be the most common symptom of all. People experience it every day but rarely connect it to their digestive system. Constant fatigue and low energy. The fifth warning sign that your gut microbiome may be severely imbalanced is something millions of people experience every day: persistent fatigue. Not the normal tiredness that follows a long day of work, not the sleepiness that disappears after a good night of rest. This type of fatigue feels different. People often describe it as a deep and constant lack of energy. They wake up in the morning already feeling tired. Even after sleeping for 7 or 8 hours, their body still feels heavy and slow. Many patients tell me the same thing. They say they feel exhausted without a clear reason. They struggle to stay productive during the day. They need caffeine just to function normally. At first glance, this may seem unrelated to digestion, but the gut plays a critical role in energy production throughout the body. Every cell in your body depends on nutrients to create energy. These nutrients must first be broken down and absorbed in the digestive system before they can be used by the cells. If the digestive system is not functioning properly, the body may struggle to extract energy from food efficiently. One of the most important functions of the gut microbiome is helping break down complex nutrients that the human body cannot digest on its own. Beneficial bacteria help process fiber and other compounds found in plant foods. During this process, they produce substances that support metabolism and energy production. When beneficial microbes begin to disappear, the digestive system becomes less efficient. Food may pass through the intestines without being fully processed. Essential nutrients such as vitamins and minerals may not be absorbed properly. Over time, this can lead to subtle nutritional deficiencies that slowly reduce energy levels. Several important nutrients involved in energy production depend on a healthy gut environment. Vitamin B12 plays a key role in red blood cell formation and energy metabolism. Magnesium supports hundreds of biochemical reactions inside the body. Iron is essential for transporting oxygen through the bloodstream. If the gut lining becomes inflamed or damaged, absorption of these nutrients may become impaired. Even mild deficiencies can lead to persistent fatigue. Another factor connecting gut health and fatigue is inflammation. When the gut microbiome becomes imbalanced, harmful bacteria may trigger inflammatory responses inside the digestive tract. Inflammation requires energy. The immune system must constantly remain active to manage the imbalance inside the gut. This chronic immune activation can quietly drain the body's energy reserves. In other words, your body may be spending significant energy fighting internal inflammation rather than supporting normal physical and mental performance. Patients often notice that fatigue becomes worse after eating certain foods. Highly processed foods and excessive sugar can increase inflammation in the digestive system and worsen microbial imbalance. After these meals, people may experience energy crashes, sluggish thinking, and physical exhaustion. In contrast, whole foods rich in fiber, healthy fats, and micronutrients often support a more stable energy level. The gut microbiome also influences the production of certain metabolic compounds that help regulate mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the structures inside cells responsible for generating energy. When the gut microbiome produces beneficial compounds, these molecules support mitochondrial efficiency and energy production. But when harmful microbes dominate the gut environment, toxin production may increase, while beneficial compounds decrease. This shift may reduce the efficiency of energy production at the cellular level. Over time, this can create a feeling of constant tiredness. Another connection between gut health and fatigue involves sleep quality. The gut microbiome plays a role in regulating neurotransmitters that influence sleep cycles. When microbial balance is disrupted, sleep may become lighter and less restorative. Even if a person spends enough hours in bed, the quality of sleep may not be sufficient to restore energy levels. Patients sometimes describe a frustrating cycle. They feel tired during the day, they rely on caffeine to stay awake, they struggle to sleep deeply at night, and the cycle repeats. Fatigue, poor digestion, sugar cravings, skin problems, and brain fog may all appear to be separate issues, but in many cases they share a common origin: an unhealthy gut microbiome. The good news is that the gut has a remarkable ability to recover when the right conditions are restored. In the next part, we will discuss how the digestive system can begin to heal and what steps may help rebuild a healthy microbial balance. Understanding these strategies may help the body regain energy, improve digestion, and restore overall health. How to restore your gut health. If you recognize several of the warning signs we discussed earlier, the most important question becomes very simple. Can the gut recover? The answer is yes. The human body has an extraordinary ability to heal when the right conditions are created. The gut microbiome is constantly changing and adapting. Every meal you eat, every hour of sleep, every level of stress can influence the microbial environment inside your digestive system. This means that improving gut health is not about a single miracle product or a quick fix. It is about gradually restoring balance. The first step in rebuilding gut health is changing the environment that harmful bacteria thrive in. Many modern diets are dominated by ultra-processed foods. These foods often contain refined sugars, artificial additives, unhealthy fats, and very little fiber. This type of diet creates an environment that favors harmful microbes. When sugar and processed carbohydrates enter the digestive system, certain bacteria ferment these nutrients rapidly and produce inflammatory byproducts. Over time, this process can weaken the gut lining and disrupt microbial diversity. Reducing processed foods is one of the most powerful steps toward restoring balance. Replacing these foods with whole natural ingredients allows beneficial bacteria to begin rebuilding their populations. Fiber plays a particularly important role. Dietary fiber is not digested directly by the human body. Instead, it becomes food for beneficial bacteria living in the intestines. When these microbes consume fiber, they produce substances known as short-chain fatty acids. These compounds help reduce inflammation, support the gut lining, and improve metabolic balance. Foods naturally rich in fiber include vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. Diversity is also important. A wide variety of plant-based foods helps encourage a more diverse microbial ecosystem. Each type of fiber feeds different bacterial species, allowing beneficial microbes to flourish. Another powerful tool for restoring gut balance is fermented food. Fermented foods naturally contain beneficial bacteria that can support the microbial environment of the digestive system. Examples include yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and fermented vegetables. These foods introduce living microbes that may help strengthen the microbiome when consumed regularly. Hydration also plays a role in digestive health. Water supports the movement of food through the digestive system and helps maintain the protective mucus layer that lines the intestines. Without adequate hydration, digestion becomes slower and the gut environment becomes less stable. Sleep is another critical factor. The gut microbiome follows daily rhythms that are influenced by the body's circadian cycle. Irregular sleep patterns can disrupt these rhythms and alter microbial balance. Consistent sleep schedules allow the body to regulate digestion, metabolism, and microbial activity more effectively. Stress management is equally important. Chronic stress activates the body's stress response system and releases hormones such as cortisol. These hormones can alter digestion, reduce stomach acid production, and affect the microbial composition of the gut. Long periods of stress may weaken the protective lining of the intestines and increase inflammation. Practices that help regulate stress can therefore support gut health. Regular physical activity is another powerful factor. Movement stimulates digestion and improves circulation throughout the digestive organs. Exercise has also been shown to increase microbial diversity within the gut. Even moderate daily activity, such as walking, can support a healthier microbiome. Another important concept is patience. The gut microbiome does not change instantly. It may take weeks or months for beneficial bacteria to rebuild strong populations and restore balance. But small, consistent improvements in diet and lifestyle can gradually transform the internal environment of the digestive system. Many patients begin to notice improvements in digestion, energy levels, skin health, and mental clarity as their gut environment becomes more stable. This transformation does not happen overnight, but the body responds surprisingly well when harmful patterns are replaced with supportive habits. Understanding the connection between the gut and overall health allows people to address problems at their root rather than only treating symptoms. But there is one final message that every person should remember when it comes to gut health. Your body is always communicating with you. In the final part of this discussion, we will talk about how to recognize these signals early and why listening to your body may be one of the most important steps toward protecting your long-term health. If there is one thing I want you to remember from this discussion, it is this: your body is always communicating with you. Every sensation, every symptom, every small change is part of a complex language your body uses to signal what is happening inside. Unfortunately, in modern life, many people have learned to ignore these signals. We silence fatigue with caffeine. We mask digestive discomfort with medication. We hide skin problems with cosmetics. We suppress symptoms instead of asking why they appear. But the body rarely produces symptoms without a reason. When the gut microbiome begins to deteriorate, the body sends warning signs long before serious disease develops. Bloating after meals is not just a minor inconvenience. Skin inflammation is not always just a cosmetic issue. Brain fog is not simply a sign of aging. Constant sugar cravings are not always a lack of discipline. These signals may all point toward the same underlying problem: an unhealthy gut environment. Inside your digestive system lives a vast ecosystem made of trillions of microorganisms. These microbes are not simply passive passengers. They are active participants in your health. They influence digestion. They regulate immune responses. They help control inflammation. They communicate with the brain. They influence hormones and metabolism. When this ecosystem is balanced, the body functions with remarkable efficiency. Energy levels remain stable. Digestion becomes comfortable. The immune system responds appropriately. The brain maintains clarity and focus. But when microbial balance begins to collapse, the effects may slowly spread throughout the body. Inflammation increases. Metabolism becomes less efficient. Hormones fluctuate. Mental clarity declines. The body tries to compensate for a long time, but eventually the signals become more obvious. The challenge is recognizing these signals early. Modern medicine is increasingly discovering that many chronic health problems share a common root in inflammation and microbial imbalance. This does not mean that every illness begins in the gut, but it does mean that the gut often plays a central role in maintaining overall health. Taking care of the gut is not simply about digestion, it is about protecting the foundation of the body's internal balance. Small daily decisions can influence this balance: the food you eat, the amount of fiber in your diet, the diversity of whole foods you consume, the quality of your sleep, the level of stress in your life. All of these factors shape the environment inside the digestive system. Over time, these choices influence which microbes thrive and which ones disappear. When beneficial microbes flourish, they help protect the body from inflammation and disease. When harmful microbes dominate, the body begins to struggle. The encouraging news is that the gut microbiome is highly adaptable. Even after years of imbalance, the digestive system often has the ability to recover when supportive habits are introduced. Many patients experience significant improvements in energy, digestion, mood, and overall well-being once their gut health begins to improve. But recovery begins with awareness. Recognizing the warning signs is the first step. Listening to your body is the second. And making small, consistent changes is the third. Your body is constantly working to protect and repair itself. When you support that process instead of ignoring it, remarkable improvements can occur. If you found this information helpful and want to understand more about how your body works, how food influences your health, and how small daily habits can transform your well-being, make sure to follow this channel. Here, we explore the science behind nutrition, metabolism, gut health, and the hidden signals your body sends every day. Because sometimes the most important messages about your health are the ones your body has been trying to tell you all along.